Aloha, everyone. This is John with the Unleashed Studios, and following this little intro is going to be a lecture I did on intertype interaction. It's even hard to say. It's even tougher to understand from up here. So look, guys, I don't usually release things that are this controversial. I want you to be careful with what you're about to hear. It's not that these mechanical truths don't exist. They do. There are mechanics that happen in the aura between humans. It has nothing to do with us talking. It's movement and how things happen to you in your form. But guys, this is like beginning to ride a bike. Like beginning to ride a bike, you use the training wheels, right? Well, at this point, I ride at the skate park. So, I mean, use these examples as starting points, just starting points for your experiment. Don't try to make any of this into a law. No matter what I say, no matter what Ross says, anyone said, guys, use this as a place to start if it's correct for you. I mean, these mechanics are just what I've learned. And, this type of discussion is usually held for the people that I'm working with ongoingly. So at the same time, I want to give this to you to help with your process. I'm also cautious that because, if you don't take this into your body, if this doesn't become part of your bones, it's just more information. And I just see so many people just, they get a little bit and they get stuck. Oh, this is how it, that's how it was right then. So experiment. We call it an experiment for a reason. It's an experiment, and these are some starting points for you. And, remember, guys, with human design, you will find your own truth here, or you'll find no truth at all. And anybody that thinks that they understand this, well, I'd love to talk to them. Aloha.
Well, aloha, and good morning to our yet re-extended LYD program where we're 2 months in and we haven't even we're not even a third of the way through the class. I mean, this is redefining when enough is enough for the projector, huh? And yet, and I actually wanted to label this class fucking projectors because, and it's not just the projectors, but it's like more than anybody else, they're the ones asking me the questions like, well, how does this work? And how does this work? And how does this work? And I get that it is totally part of your process to figure that all out. And I also get that the couple of the ones that asked me the most questions that are the most responsible for this happening aren't here today. I'm very conscious of that. So anyway, but I got it, guys. I mean, after enough questions came in, and I don't know what was up in the program or whatever, but I mean, from all sides, everyone just started to ask me this question: how do you interact between types? How do you interact between types? Not that exact question, of course, but how do I do this with a generator? And how do I do that if my girlfriend's a manifestor, or vice versa, or to the projector, and all of this stuff? And I'm like, whoa, okay. Obviously, this is a legitimate thing that needs to be looked at, okay? And I don't know exactly what has or hasn't been put out on this. And I'm going to be very honest with you. As I get into this and try to think about it, it is very difficult for me. These are not things that I think about. I mean, human design provides you with an opportunity to experiment on the level of body, right? I mean, we're just back to the basics. Experiment on the level of body, understand how your form works, and that allows your mind to be freed up to be a witness, right? You make decisions from the body rather than the mind. Witness develops, and all of a sudden, there's no agenda. You're not trying to get anything to happen. You're not trying to figure anything out. So the very first thing I want you guys to look at is when you're asking me this question, how does this work between this type and that type? How does this work between that type and this type? 99% of the time, what you're asking is, how do I get to do what my mind still wants me to do? Or how do I get what I think I want from this person? Or how do I get them to act the way I want them to act? The only thing you need to worry about is yourself. Get that. I mean, yes, there's an art to this, but all of it gets established on the level of the body. It's not mental. So first and foremost, remember, before we get into going, oh, the energy moves that way, and the energy moves this way, and all of these little things, that one, this is your experiment, and you're the one that's got to figure this out and embody it, or it's going to remain confusing for the rest of your life, and you're going to stay trapped in your mind trying to figure things out. I mean, again, most of what you guys are asking me when you ask me, how do I communicate from this type to that type, is how does my mind still get to do what it wants to do? You're not asking me what's going on in my body. You're asking me, how do I continue to use human design and pretend like I'm living my design and still do what I want to do? Is anybody confused by that? Do you understand how the mind is already, with these questions, trying to figure out to still get what it wants? Well, how do I do it with this type? How do I get what I want with it? Well, it's pretty easy. Don't. Stop. We've just spent over a month, and I don't know how many hours, looking at these 4 different aura types. Generator, open, enveloping, right? Here to respond to its own life force. What does that mean? It doesn't mean that you're trying to get something. You're letting life come to you. And in that moment of energetic response, when you hear your sacral, and your life force lights up or something, then you have something to give your energy to. Until then, you don't have anything to give your energy to. Nothing. There's nothing for you. The generator can know itself through response. What does the energy resonate to? Or what does it not resonate to, or go into dissonance with, or go to? You know, and you know, I've seen it. I mean, I have generators around me all the time. They get a little bit, they get it, you know, you finally get them into the body, you get them into the body maybe for a week or a month or 6 months, and all of a sudden their mind figures out the game and they completely work out a workaround around that. So now they've got some story of how they can still make decisions and not use their sounds. It happens every day. And I sit and I watch. I go, okay. It's one of my best friends at the coffee shop. I gave him this lecture yesterday. I was like, yeah, you know how to respond, and you know how to make decisions from your mind, and you're fooling yourself half the time because you're so smart. You know? I mean, this is the problem with smart people. I mean, if you didn't have a mind that was trying to get something, then you could just live in response to life, what your energy is resonating to, and not suffer on the level of mind. Yeah. So the projector, right? Taking life in with the ability to focus, right? We're here to see. We're not here to generate. We don't have the ability to move energy in the Maya the way the generator does. What do? We see. So what we have to see that's for us. And may, huge question mark, huge fucking question mark, be of value if and when somebody invites it. At that moment, we can just laser in and like see, like, you know, frequencies, how they're working, you know, and we can offer our seeing. Now, the problem is, if we're trying to figure that out, we're useless. If we're trying to get invitations or we are trying to get something to happen, we're completely disempowered. We end up bitter, just like the generator ends up frustrated. Right? So the projector, where's your focus? Right? I mean, I had a kid call me yesterday. It's like, he's been trying to get to me for like months, and he's third world kid, and he's, you know, I mean, I get it. He doesn't have a lot of money, and I'm trying to help him a little bit, and he's a projector, and he's, you know, basically I said, okay, what can I do for you today? And he went on to tell me like 15 minutes of story, and I just let him run. And I was like, okay, now stop. Do you see what you're doing? You're just telling me your story. I don't give a fuck about your story. I just asked you, what can I do for you right now? You know, it was like, I mean, just in that moment, just crack. I could just feel like his mind crack. I was like, oh. I was like, see, that's your disease. Your disease is wanting to tell your story. That's your disease. There's no real knowing coming from you. There's no real guidance available. You're too busy trying to tell us your trip. So look, it's easy. Projector's like, what do you got to figure out? You don't got to figure out shit. Sit down, shut up. Generator, what do you got to figure out? Nothing. Sit down, shut up. See what happens. See what happens at the level of your body. Right? The manifestor. The manifestor, yes, it needs to inform as it's moving through the Maya. But what it's informing is not its mental agenda. I want this to happen. What it's informing is this is going to happen. Because it's become clear in their body that there's a movement that's happening, right? This is happening. This is happening. I'm rolling down the hill. Get out of the way. You know? It's not up for debate. And then it so obviously would be, you know, even manifestors that understand a bit, you know, when they're, you know, they're trying to mentally manifest, it's so obvious because, again, at the level of witness, you're not trying to get anything done. You're not trying to make anything happen. The manifestor is waiting, just like everyone else. You know, in a sense, agents, you know, for the program or of the program if they're enslaved to it, you know? They're here to know peace. They're here to know peace because nobody's messing with them. And if they tell people to go away and quit messing with them, their aura will eventually strengthen to the point that no one will mess with them. And then they will be at peace. Huh? And the projector quits going into its needy little puppy. It can be there as a pool of stillness to offer something that it sees. In the relaxation that happens in the generator, it can respond to life. And the reflector can stand, right, and watch and see the whole thing working. And talk about really not having anything to do. I mean, a reflector even needs to be initiated by the projector. And there is an energetic hierarchy. And I know that nobody likes hierarchies, and I don't care. This is how it works. You know? The manifestors, agents of the program, they're moving the energy. They're the movement. Generators are responding. Projectors invited. Reflectors seeing. Right? Seeing the whole program. Projectors much more individual. Still seeing. different thing, not the program as much as the people. But the whole thing, it's a game. You know, it's like a chess game. It's like, okay, the manifestor moves to X1, generator responds 2, and a couple more generators respond, and then at some point maybe somebody invites the projector, he skips over here, reflector's watching the whole game, you know. I just had that, you know, that game Risk. It's like where you're just like, I mean, that's armies moving around countries to take over control. Maybe not the best example, but I'm just seeing like pieces moving from continent to continent. You know, different, oh, okay. It's just all happening. And the only problem that we get into is in our fucking mind. What is suffering? If you're not correcting your body will suffer. But what's correcting, what's contributing to that, right? What's getting that to happen is your mind is trying to do something. From the perspective of the witness, all of these questions go away. So, here we are, our 4 different energies, right? You know, generator, open, enveloping, projector, you know, taking in, absorbing, and then the ability to focus, manifestor, boom, the ability to impact, and the reflector, right, sampling. And then we've got this blob over here that's the world. It's like, I mean, this is what the world looks like, right? Just this fucked up ball of mess, because out there in the world, everybody's initiating with everybody, and everybody's telling what everybody should do. I mean, even just the radio between the coffee shop and here this morning, I changed it twice. I'm almost to like where when I first moved to Sedona, it was cool because there were radio stations. I could hear music again. And then I realized these commercials, and it's like, it's just a bombardment of do this, do this, do this, do this. And I'm like, oh my God, what a mess. And then I'm at the coffee shop, and it's like, or I'm wherever I'm at in the world, and it's like, you should do this, you should do that. You know, what do you think I should do? I mean, it's amazing. It's amazing what we get in human design, because by respecting ourselves, by you being correct as yourself, why is John spending so much time going over what we already know? Because it's all you need to know. That's why. Because on the level of body, if you're not trying to get something, you're okay. This knowledge is so beautiful because by learning to respect ourselves, right? We have a respect for ourselves. It becomes easy to respect the rest of the world. So what do? The worst case scenario, if you're just like, much better to stand there or whatever, but you know, if there's something that that needs to happen, right? It's correct for it to happen in your life, right? You know, I got to call this guy or whatever about that. You know, hey, do you have a moment? Ask. I mean, I love just going and standing at the coffee shop or just standing there wherever, you know, the print shop until they come, and they come to me. And the worst case is somebody looks at me with like the what the hell do you want look, and you look back at them and you just go, oh, do you have a moment? It totally disarms them. they're like, oh, what do you want? And I'm like, do you have a moment? It's so funny. And you know, for 90% of the planet, everyone but the manifestor, that's exactly correct. And for the manifestor, that's at least respectful, right? I mean, yeah, it would be a little, there's a little different mechanic that we'll look at, but I mean, it's if you're not trying to get them to do something, if you're really asking, do you have a moment for me? Are you available? May I join you? Would you like to sit down? I mean, just whenever there's a question of what you're supposed to do, don't. And if you have to, I mean, if it's absolutely a have to, you have to initiate in a sense of conversation, then ask if they have some time. And I love email. Email's great because you can go, you know, you write just a little, hey, when you have a moment, could we have a few minutes? You know, I wrote that email to someone last night. It's like, hey, no big deal, you know, and it's someone I'm ongoing work with. When you have a moment, could you be in touch with me? So you in the world, right? The world's a mess. Don't expect anybody else to do this with you. You worry about yourself. As soon as you're worrying about the other, you're lost. You be correct as yourself. You have the potential to be the one shining little object in a sea of gray mess, right? This exact exemplified embodiment of you, right? You in the world. You be correct as you. Everything else will take care of itself. We're not going anywhere. We're not trying to get anything. This is the thing that I loved. I saw so clearly this with my little Thursday night group was that everybody's trying to figure out basically two things, and you guys have heard me talk about this, that's money and love. This is what people are, money and love. This is where everyone spends their time, and even, money is security and health, and, survival is at the end of money, and love is friends and all of the worthiness and everything. It's the basic binary of suffering of humanity. How do I get these two things, money or love? And I love it that there's human design teachers out there that they're marketing how to get money and love. Because they are the greatest salespeople on the planet. I recognize what you're doing, and I have to say, if you're trying to sell something, that's what you use. Tell people you can help them get more money, or tell them you can help them get love. More self-confidence, success, whatever, security, blah, blah, blah. But we're not doing that here. We're not. We're trying to basically be the only people on the planet that throw down our marbles and walk away from this game. Right? We become unique as ourselves. And when you're unique as yourself, whether someone's correct or not with you, whether or not, whatever's happening in the world, however screwed up, it's just fine. It's just funny. You're just like, oh boy, there it goes. And it's funny because I'm totally okay with the obnoxious redneck, or, I'm not saying I enjoy them or whatever, but it's like, if you're just like talking like mad smack, like, like I kind of see like sports fans and, whatever, it's like these rednecks and stuff. I mean, at least they're honest about it. But then I, around here and Kauai, we had all these spiritual people that are doing exactly the same thing. They're running over each other with their energy. There's zero respect happening anywhere. Look, you learn to respect yourself. That's all you can do. That is a full-time gig. By the time you get to your own authority, when you're standing as yourself and you're not bombarded by the madness of the world, I promise you what we're about to go over will go away. It will be obvious. It'll be a frequency. You'll feel when it's off. You won't need to think about these things that I'm about to walk through with you. And here we go. Okay, so the generator to the generator. What do we have? We have open enveloping aura meeting open enveloping aura, right? Both need to respond. Generator to generator. Ask, hey, would you like to go to the movies? Uh-huh. Yeah, that sounds nice. Would you like to go to the movies? Ask back. Right? I mean, these are good exercises. And I don't care what your mind says. You make sounds because your mind lies. By the time it gets to your mind, it's lying. Okay? By the time you say yes, it's lying. Okay? This is a pre-verbal cognition. This is a pre-verbal awareness. Uh-huh. Yes, that is true. No, that is not true. So generator to generator. Hey, would you like to do this? Uh-huh, I'd like to do that. Would you like to do it? Uh-huh. Confirm, right? Generator to generator confirmation. Here is and this is sacral, not emotional authority, but it still works with the emotions. They just need a little bit more time. Maybe it's like you want to see would you like to go to the movies? Uh-huh, it sounds good. Could you ask me tomorrow? Uh-huh. So I don't want to get lost in the whole emotional component today, but remember, they need more time. But this is the most honest of possible relationships because they can always respond to their truth, right? Open enveloping aura meets open enveloping aura. Would you like to do this? Uh-huh. Would you like to do it? Ask back. Hopefully this is all seeming very elementary because this is the mind-blowing information you're going to get today. The complete fucking simplicity of how simple this all is. However, your mind's going to say it's good, it's stupid. Your mind's going to say you don't have to do it. Your mind's going to say just what it's going to say anything it can say other than respond with your sounds. That's what it's going to say. And it's going to be stupid and silly and, whatever. Yeah, and I agree it is. It's stupid and silly and it's all going to stay that way on the level of mind. Okay? So we're trying to go below mind, right, into the body's consciousness. And what happens when we don't do this? This is what we have in the world. Energetic pollution. I love all these people. I'm picking up trash. Meanwhile, I don't really want to be doing it. I'm doing it to prove that I'm environmental. And at that period, I'm just poisoning the atmosphere. Every time generators are moving with their minds, they are poisoning the entire world. Right? Never mind yourself. But every time you do something because your kid wants you to, or you do something because your lover wants you to, or you do something, dude, I mean, this is the world we live in. I'm sorry, it's not your fault because you're a generator. It's your world. There's 70% of you, and it's the whole energy running the planet, and it's basically a pollution storm. Dead whales rotting on the beach, right? Baby seals being clubbed to death. I mean, make it as gnarly as you can because every time you make a movement that's not out of response, you are polluting the entire planet and more importantly, yourself. Hopefully, more importantly, yourself. But if you can't do it for you, do it for the world or do it for your kids or do it for whoever you got to do it for until you have enough integration into your own form to do it for yourself because it's correct. And so what do you feel? You feel frustration. What does it feel like? What is frustration? Frustration is energetic pollution. We all clear? Everyone's good? Okay. Generator to projector. Projector, not going anywhere, right? Has nothing to do. Generator happens to show up, open enveloping aura. It can invite, hey, what do you see? What's common about this generator asking? Oh, that's nice. Generator's asking, not telling. Oh, that's an interesting concept. Generator asking instead of telling. Hey, can I ask what you see? Do you have something to share with me? Right? Invite what is seen for perspective. That's the only thing we have to offer you. Perspective. I see this could work, that could work, that could work. And then the projector, back to the generator. Does that seem right to you? Does that look correct to you? Uh-huh. Yeah, I see you could do this, this, and this. Does that feel correct? Uh-huh. Okay. Do you need any more questions? Okay. And then back to stillness. Back to silence. Back to not trying to make anything happen. I mean, remember, if you're experimenting with this and you actually know people's types, that's fine. But you don't need to. You be correct as yourself. And if you need something, you ask. Right? Hey, we've been friends for a long time. What do you see about this? Huh? Easy. But if you have friends deeper in the experiment, you want to get, strategic, and I don't mean trying to get something done, but, get radical, get really precise in this experiment, like what we do in the emergence. Like, okay, here's how you lock it down. Invite what is seen. Experiment with it. See how it feels. For the projector, see how it feels. Oh, okay. I'm not trying to blah, blah and tell my story. Oh, wow, that really came out cleanly. That's nice. See how it feels. What happens so often is that the generator just runs over the projector. It's just like, let me tell you my story. And it's just like, we're just the whole enveloping thing, we're just immersed in the energy. We're like, oh, wait, I'm down here. No, don't worry. We'll look at the other side in just a second because, the projectors are more guilty of what they do. But, I mean, this is what happens. The generator runs over the projector all the time. And they get lost. The energy is, I mean, it just submerges us. We're like, whoa, There's no room. I mean, I'm just not available to sit and listen to generator stories. I'm not available to sit and listen to anyone's stories, but they have different qualities. If I'm working with you and we're looking at something that's different, right? There's a perspective. There's something for me to give as a projector. I can see. I can listen to the frequencies. I never know people's truth, but I can tell where it's coming from. You can just tell the difference between the body's consciousness and the mind's. It's so obvious. I can tell when people are trying to push. I can tell when people are trying to bullshit themselves. Now, do I know what's right for them? No. I can only see what's not working. It's like, no, that's not it. Okay? And, so this whole generator thing, it's like, hey, projectors get run over energetically all the time. And then we think it's supposed to be our world. And then we think we're supposed to keep up. And oh my God, what a mess. Huh? What a mess we live in. This whole thing, what a mess we live in. Generator to manifestor, right? First of all, you got no business telling the manifestor anything. But I mean, let's use a good example. Like, Lynette she's the teacher, right? Or, like my friend on, this is, I don't want to use myself as this exact example, but sometimes, hey, the manifestor has to be informed, right? And from the generator's perspective, first of all, the generator should never be coming towards the manifestor anyway. Certainly not trying to get it to do anything. But it can inform, the generator, some of the examples, Lynette and I talked about last night were like, our friend and Kauai would say, it was much better if she would just say, I'm making some eggs now, right, inform, or even myself, hey, I'm going to go to the beach in a half hour, than, would you like some eggs? Can I get you some eggs? Can I make some breakfast? No, get the fuck out of here. Right? That's the manifestor. Leave me alone. Look, I know you're making eggs. It's called flirting with the manifestor. You kind of like just say, hey, this is what's going on. And then when you say this is what's going on, they can then initiate. Okay? I mean, but in the role, like in this example, like what we have going on in class, Lynette is a teacher here, right? You can let her know that you need to talk to her. You can let her know what's going on in her segment of the teaching that's going on so that she can get your feedback. She can be informed. Manifestors can be informed. Look, this is what's going on. I'm going to do this. Okay. And then as a generator, you can inform them, look, and it would be really nice. I know it's maybe asking a lot, but you can ask to be asked back. Now, you may not get it. And to be true, honestly, most of the time you probably won't. But if you have friends that are manifestors that are close in your life, that are willing to experiment with you because they're interested and give a shit, which is, that's a whole lot to ask from a manifestor, because they're just not here. It's not their trip. It's not that they don't love you. It's just like, oh my God, first I have to inform people that I have to ask you back. What? Even it sounds stupid. Okay. But you can let them know, look, if you want me involved, it's good if you ask me. can let them know that. They've been informed. If you want me involved, it's nice when you ask me. Right? So you can inform. And then in the case where, Lynette's the teacher, you can inform her, hey, I need to talk to you. It's okay. You can be polite. When you have a minute, can we talk? You've informed. But don't come at them with your agenda. Don't come at anybody with your agenda. I mean, again, I keep going back to it's like, God, yeah, I mean, I could sit here and explain the way energy moves and but it all gets resolved as soon as you quit trying to get something. I mean, I experiment with this I do with Lynette. It's like, every now and then, well, I'll do this when we get to the projector part, anyway. But I mean, just look, if you're not trying to get anything, everything works. I don't know how many times I've already said that. Whatever. And then what happens? The generator tries to manifest, runs right into the manifestor, right? Complete fucking destruction. This is what we have, Total train wreck, car wreck, Generators trying to get manifestors to do what they want. And oh boy, are you going to get a slap back if you're dealing with a manifestor that's really in this. I mean, you are going to get slapped because it's not energetically correct. Not because anyone's a dick, not because they don't love you, because energetically you're not designed to push them. And you cause a car wreck when you do. So, don't do that. But again, if you're feeling this instead of thinking it, it's obvious. It's obvious. Projector to generator. Well, we wait. We wait to be invited. And then we ask back. Right? Same thing. What do you see? I see this. I see this. I see this. Do you want to look at that? Uh-huh. Okay. Here's what I see here. Does that feel true to you? Uh-huh. Oh, okay. I mean, this is such the beautiful dance that Marianne and I get to have together because, she comes to me for perspectives. Then I ask back, does that feel true to you? Do you see it like that? Okay. I mean, it's like, I don't have any agenda for her. I don't have any agenda for anyone. I'm not trying to get anyone to do anything. I can share my perspective because it's all I have. That's what I'm doing here today. Sharing perspective. I mean, if this is helpful for you, great. A bunch of you asked me these questions. So much so that I got sick of answering them and said, well, we'll do a PowerPoint. And then I'll probably have to answer questions about this. But at least it was a starting point. And maybe I've said enough times in here when you quit trying to figure out how to work around the mechanics, you'll understand how it works. Maybe if I say that 100 more times before we're done, it'll start to sink in. Because it's so obvious. It's painfully obvious how it works. And then the projector can easily end up pinning the generator. This is where projectors have such a bad rap. Okay, yes, the generator does energetically run over the projector, but this is where the projector gets it. They don't wait to be invited. We'll look at that in a second, right? But I could be invited. Then I can ask. And until then, what is there for me to do? Absolutely nothing. Energetic hierarchy, right? Manifestors move first. Generators respond to all of that movement, the movement of the Maya. Projectors are these little seers that are like maybe up on the mountaintop, every now and then we get moved around by the movement of the generators, right? I mean, this is like the whole program, how it works. And then here's the reflector seeing the whole thing like from the moon. I mean, it's a very intricate dance that we're doing. And see, somehow we think we're in charge of some of this, and it's so funny that we're not in charge of any of it. And it's only when you think you're in charge do you suffer. You know? It's only when you let your mind take control that you suffer. But projector, wait to be invited. Then ask. If you don't, this is what you get. You pin their energy. You know, we can pin them to the wall. This is the bitterness. We're not seen. We're not recognized. We're not appreciated. I mean, it really feels like mud on your face. It feels like mud on your face. It's just like all this shit comes flying back at you. And look, I don't want to pretend like this doesn't still happen to me. I just catch it very quickly. I mean, there's just a little dust before I stop. Because I can get excited. Imagine that. I can get excited and get very about something, you know, because I'm just excited. It's my natural rhythm of this insatiable, joyous, you know, personality that I have. And I get excited and you know, I start to go a little too far, and then I see that, oh, I'm really getting, you know, I'm starting to, some dust is starting to come back. But most projectors, they don't get it. They just keep talking and talking and talking, and they try to do more to make themselves feel better. And it's just like, this is it. This is the bitterness. You're not seen. You're not recognized. You're not properly appreciated. Why? Because it's your fault. And this is also where we get into the projectors being like little energy addicts and always trying to tap in and get what they think they want. You know? So don't do it. Huh? Projector to projector. All right? Focused aura to focused aura. This is a very sharp game, guys. I mean, this is a game I'm much more used to than I am this world of generators that I live in now. You know, I mean, this is this world that I've lived in, you know, for the last decade, where it's like, dude, it's like dude, I mean, we all see, and it's actually funny, like with Hawk and Devin and a few other projectors that I know, it's like we can see that the other person sees. And it's like this whole other thing that's going on, guys, that if you're not in this world, it's not your world, okay? We have a very trippy bandwidth that we operate in, okay? That's not better, it's just different, because it's all we can do. Remember, we can't generate, we can't manifest, and we're not spokespeople or agents of the program. I mean, we're just here to see, and we can see each other seeing. Now, it doesn't mean that generators can't see and manifestors can't see. I'm just saying this is all we can do. So there's this very trippy frequency that happens when you're with another projector that you could tell, okay, they're starting to see, or they do see. And it was like some of the first times I sat with Hawk, I was laughing. I was like, yeah, this is nice. I can see him starting to see things. So look, I mean, this is ask each other and be respectful. I have this with Devin a lot. You know, I mean, I'll be like, and Devin does most of the artwork, or pretty much all of the artwork that you see that comes out like this presentation. I'll be like, look, dude, I have something to share with you. Would you like to hear? And I mean, he says the same thing to me. And and he'll be like, it feels okay in this moment. I mean, we are so energetically respectful because we know that what we see, each of us, is 1,000 times bigger than what we're going to share right now, these little pins that we're going to exchange. It's just, this is what we do. This is our art. So projector to projector, be very respectful. If I ask you for some seeing about my cat, I don't want to hear what you think about my girlfriend. Does that make sense? There's this beautiful respect that has to happen projector to projector. Again, I'm in the exalted phase. I'm like where, and I don't mean that, like I'm in like a clean phase where you're practicing your sobriety of not being energetically fucked up with each other. But dude, there is this very magical place that we can meet. You know, this little alien workshop that we can have. But we're very precise in what we do. The most precise communications I have are projector to projector. With two or, and let me say that again. there are 2 or 3 projectors on the planet where that is the most precise communication that I have. Because it's like we don't go out. I mean, we're both so sensitive to the boundaries, and the lines are so tight that it's like shoo, shoo, just little lasers exchanging. And but I mean, look, and again, and as I say that, I go, yeah, but that's only true with about, it's sort of true with maybe half a dozen people, and it's only really true with maybe 2. The reality is this is what's going on most of the time. You know what I see? Well, I see this, I see that. You know what you should do? And it's just like, the swords going back and forth, just slashing the shit out of each other. I mean, this is also the most dysfunctional, relationship you're probably going to find. Because they're both trying to get their recognition from each other, and because they see the power, the vulnerabilities so clearly, a lot of times you just end up like lashing out and just cutting each other to pieces. I mean, it's such an art. It's such a very tight art, the whole projector to projector thing. But again, if you understand this as yourself, as a projector, and you respect yourself, it becomes so easy to respect the other. Because you understand the game, huh? And this is the game you're all being invited to, by the way. You're being invited to this game. Hey, make it an experiment. This is your experiment. Be precise. See how precise you can be. Catch your mind trying to do something and don't do it. Catch your mind wishing it was different and giggle, Yeah. So, guys, I mean, just because you're projectors doesn't mean you get to initiate with each other. Even sacral sessions going, I need a sacral session. Okay, maybe, but that's your fucking mind, Just because someone else is a projector doesn't mean you get to pick up the phone and call them all the time. Yes, there's no energetic risk projector to projector. The risk is you never really settle down in your aura. That's the risk. And you only do that because you're always trying to get what you think you want. I love that there's only one answer. There is only one answer here today. And the more I'm doing this, the more I'm giggling about it. I'm like, every time I see this, I'm like, okay, at the level of body, this is absolutely obvious. Oh my God, what a mess. Okay, I'm sorry. I got lost in my own madness there for a second. Realizing that I'm seeing that even explaining this is confusing. Again, even explaining this is confusing. But it's not confusing. It's how things work. And the projector to the manifestor, right? Well, dude, what are you going to do? I mean, this is funny because this is my relationship with Lynette. And I mean, it's so funny because, even sometimes she'll ask me like, well, what would you like me to do with this? Or what would you like me to do with that? Because we work together. I mean, there's a relationship. And I start to try to say like, well, I would like you to do da-da-da. And I can't even get it out. It just starts, we both start giggling. It's just like, we keep coming back to how about you just do whatever you'd like to do? I mean, it's funny because Robert, the other manifestor in the class here, I'm having fun experimenting with him because he's newer, in the experiment. It's like, the other night, he came to something where I'm talking and I was saying like, oh yeah, it might be interesting if you brought this generator friend to this other thing that's going on in a week or so. And he goes, are you trying to tell me what to do? I was like, no, did it sound like I was trying to tell you what to do? I was flirting with the idea that there's a thing happening a few weeks that your generator friend might enjoy. You could inform them, basically, is what I was flirting with, but never trying to get it to, not actually trying to get it to do it. Actually, like where he is and physically in the aura of the class that I was at the other night, I was realizing it was hard to go even look towards him. It was like, it's easier one-on-one. You never go direct. It's like my aura will go right by the side of a manifestor, so I just let it kind of slide by. But I have to be invited. I mean, it's really funny. Okay, so and then, okay, see, you have to understand the manifestor doesn't. It doesn't really. How am I going to do this? I'm trying to say. I mean, I had these funny experiences with a lock. He kept telling me, "Hey, we're friends. It's okay. You can." And he also said, "Like, you're the only projector I've ever met that doesn't initiate with me," which makes me very concerned for the holistic view of what's happening in human design. But it was the first couple of times we had met, and he was here for a few weeks, and we had a chance to hang out. You know, I remember one night I was walking out and I was going on, and he's like, "Come to dinner with us." I was like, "Okay." It felt great, right? Yeah, okay. But he's like, "Hey, we're friends. You can just say things to me." And I tried a couple of times, and it was so fucked up, dude. Like, to him, it didn't really matter, but to me, I felt so dishonored. Like, no, that's not how it works. I cannot just say something to you. And then I did that once or twice, and it was just fuzzy and ugly. And then I did it once, and he got mad. And then I was really giggling. And I was like, okay, yeah, and this is a scam of the manifestors. You have to watch them because they're like, oh, no, you can just inform me, whatever, blah, blah, blah. No, you can't, man. Just look, you want to stay safe? You want to be, and it was fun, dude. I mean, I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed meeting him and getting some time with him because I could really feel the power. It's like, whoa, there's the power. But, yeah, I mean, they're armor-plated vehicles. You know, I mean, they're dense. Our little dance that we all have to be so sensitive to isn't. They're sensitive to the movement of the program, and then all they're trying to do is just get us the hell out of their way. So, I mean, it's just not their trip to be in that level of sensitivity body-wise. However, I know the level of body sensitivity that Lynette works with, so I don't know if that's a blanket statement. I have no idea. That's experiment, guys. This is an experiment, and I experimented, and I'm gonna tell you, this is what it feels like, right? It's like, I'm like, first you have to be invited. Oh yes, come over to the boat. Okay, I'm here, but if you drop this anchor, you're going to kill me, right? It's like, this is how it feels. It's like, oh yeah, hey, we can hang out. Just don't kill me, okay? I'm approaching slowly, right? And if before this boat's going to move, can you please let me know so I can get the hell out of the way? I mean, this is really funny. I mean, I saw this picture, I started laughing. I was like, yeah, that's exactly about how it feels. That's how it feels to me, even when Lynette goes, will you tell me what you'd like me to do this week? And I go, how about anything you'd like to do? That's the only legitimate answer. And see, the other funny part is that we both know that what's going to happen is just what's going to happen. That we could say do this or do that, and I know she's trying to sort of kind of stick with at least be available to answer what was talked about this week, but in the forum she runs each week. But I also get that it doesn't matter what happens, and she gets that it doesn't matter what happens, and we all get that. I mean, it's just so funny, dude. It's so funny to live like this, where you're not trying to get something to happen. And I really hope that you guys are starting to get the scam that, yes, I mean, you're going to all get through your little basic training in human design, and we're going to go so deeply into all of this, you're going to get, I mean, your minds are going to get sick of it. Hopefully your body will have fun. You'll start to relax, and, whoever's supposed to stay in this class will stay, and, we'll just see what happens. But that really the whole scam here is that this is a place where you show up every week and get reminded, like, here's how it works, here's how it works, here's how it works, right? I mean, that's what I say. It's just like AA for the mind. This is like, this is the place to come during recovery. And yes, while you're here, you get to learn some information too. And in the end, you actually can be certified to teach it, or if that's your trip, But by the end, most people realize that this was just about their journey anyway. I don't know why I got off on that. It's because I'm taking so much time, and I'm clear that I'm not even sort of done yet. So the manifestor to the generator, right? This is what I'm going to do. This is what's happening. I'm moving left. I'm moving right. The manifestor informs, right? Dense, hard, repelling auras. Inform. I'm informing you this is what's going to happen. Now, it's an extra step and an extra big pain in the ass, and I really realize this is not necessarily ever going to happen. With most manifestors on the planet. First of all, hopefully you're actually manifesting from the movement of the Maya. What's going to happen? What needs to happen from your authority and not your mind? I mean, oh my God, have I seen the messes that manifestors make when they manifest from their minds? I mean, it is hilarious. They're like just Tasmanian devils. You can't even see them. It's just like a cloud of dust, right? But if you're clean in your movement, you're clean. That means that you're carrying with you a certain level of sensitivity and respect, not only for yourself, but for the other, right? Even though the other is not really your concern, because you've come to see and know your impact, you can inform this is what's happening. And if you want to involve a generator in that process, the recommendation is you can ask. Now look, did you even see the way I presented this? Every one of you projectors that are taking copious notes as I speak about every little mechanic, right? I didn't tell them what to do. I said, it's good to inform. That works. Let us know so we can get out of your way. That's for them, right? That's like, okay, that was for you. And if you want a generator, it works better if you ask. Right? You need to ask. Bullshit. They don't need to do anything. Which part of this don't you understand? They do what they want to do. Hopefully, there's a few of them. Again, my ability, I'll count them on one hand, that are actually doing this cleanly from the body. The rest are just manifesting from their mind all over the place and making a total mess of it, which I love. It gives me loads of entertainment and enjoyment, to watch them. And the other problem is, remember, I mean, this isn't really the aura lectures, but most manifestors they're mental manifestors that have been so disempowered and stripped of their power that they have no real impact. They're just shit disturbers. But you have to understand, for the manifestor, this is what it feels like. Did you come by? It's like a tornado. If you're in your power, I mean, you're just going to, the force in which you're moving energy, which is just your natural state, it's big. It's big. It's powerful. It's strong. Big boat, small harbor, right? Every time you move, waves going everywhere. This is why informing people, hey, the tornado is coming, allows them at least to get into the basement before you blow their house down. They're like, ooh, thanks. At least I got out of the way. Get out of the way is informing, guys. So just understand that this is what you get to know as a manifestor. You get to know your impact. And when you know your impact, you get to see how that works. Yeah. Manifestor to projector, right? Inform. Da-da-da-da. Invite. What do you see? What do you got for me? You may or may not get the invitation. You may just be informed. Yeah, but you're a projector, so you don't mind. You're used to sitting and listening if it's interesting, and you're used to getting up and walking away if it's not. I mean, that's just the way I live. I'm like, this is great. Like, I mean, there were all sorts of things I wanted to talk to Alok about, but Alok talked to me. And I got to do really the only one or two little things I wanted to do, which was just test a couple of theories. And that was really beautiful because I got to see, yep, I'm on point with all this stuff, at least as far as I know. But, they can inform us. They can invite us. I mean, there was a couple of things he sort of invited me to do. We'll see if it shows up. Maybe this little thing right here will go remind him, oh, shit, I need to call John. Or maybe not. Anyway. Inform, invite. I mean, it's so funny. There was there was this recording program that he needed done for when he was here, and I was totally on board to do it with him. I just didn't want to sit through, all the material. It just wasn't for me. I didn't want to go through all of that level of information that he teaches. It just, for me, it didn't feel correct. It was too much, and yet, and then after he's done, somebody decided it needed to be this recording, and I've just got my hands, like my hands in my head, my hands just going, holy fuck! If they'd have just, I could have just. I saw how it needed to be done, but I wasn't told. All I was told is hit the play button. And because I wasn't there, I asked someone else to do it, and they did it even more complicated. They had their own way of cutting it all up. Another projector, of course, had it very organized, but organized in a way that was not going to be any use to us, and still is yet to be used. Now, yes, it could be salvaged, but it's going to take a lot of fucking editing, But this is how it feels, right? It's like, oh, you need a recording? Okay, but wait, if you just let me get the bridge, because I got to finish the bridge before the locomotive comes, huh? And I'm not saying that any of this is no fault, no blame. It's just what happened, but it was such a perfect example of, here's this energy moving fast, and I'm like, dude, if you'd asked me, I could have told you the bridge is out. And so, yeah, we can still do it, but it's going to take a lot more work to get this train put back together than it would have just to finish the bridge and then drive over it. I've been using this analogy and that funny little example. It's like, yeah, it can be done, but I don't know if I'm available to do all that. I could have put this one railroad tie-in first, and then and this is how it feels too. It's like, dude, the bridge is out, but you're not going to stop that train. It's moving, yeah. But and dude, it's life, and nothing matters. I mean, it was just perfect examples of how this stuff moves, and early on, another situation, and this is not meant in any way because I love Alok. I think this is just funny. It just happens to be the most current, funny story I have. If you just said, look, this is what I want to do prior to what happened, with any, he really informed me like this is, but he didn't know. He's emotional. He didn't know till it was done. So it's not like it was his fault either. It was just this funny thing. Look, I'm trying to be politically correct. I don't want him calling and yelling at me. What the fuck are you saying? Yeah, all I'm saying is we could have done that recording a much nicer way. Hopefully this is funny to you guys. It is to me. But it wasn't until it was done that it wasn't until it was over that it was decided it was going to become a product. And then by that time, it's 2 projectors deep in madness. And it's like, dude, wait, we did something else entirely. Yeah, it's all there, and we can tape it all back together. And it's going to take someone really sitting down to do that. Instead of just, it could have easily been start points that we would have known to do. Oh, man. Oh, my God, I'm going to get in trouble for this one, dude. Uninvited forever. Manifestor-to-manifestor, inform. Just inform. This is what I'm doing. This is what I'm doing. I'm coming down the right side. I'm coming down the left side, right? it's so simple between these. I mean, these guys get each other for the most part. And yet you would be amazed to discover how difficult it is for them to inform. I mean, everyone thinks the manifestor somehow has an easy trip. It's not an easy trip. Nobody's got an easy trip. The Maya itself is not easy. Living on this plane is not easy, even in a country as rich and as abundant as America, and all of you must have some sort of jobs because you at least showed up and paid your tuition, right? I mean, the Maya is not an easy place to live. It's hard, and it's hard even for manifestors. So you have this manifestor-to-manifestor, inform, boom, boom, right? I'm doing this, I'm doing that. But what happens when you don't? Red car hits blue car. And these are the most fun crashes for me to see in human design, because it's like, okay, guys, look, I mean, clearly you've been doing this long enough to know that if you honk your horn, people get out of your way, right? I mean, clearly that should be somewhere in the first month or so of your education in human design, hopefully your first initial consultation, and yet you see it all the time. They just run right into each other. It's not even... Yeah, I get it. It's unnatural. It's unnatural to inform. I'm asking Lynette to talk a bit about this. I also have another funny example this morning, which I should have done on Manifestor-projector, but the guy that got me into human design, he called me this morning. I mean, he called me this morning. I haven't talked to him close to a year, and he's like, yeah, I just felt like talking to you. And I was laughing. I was like, well, that's interesting, because I'm teaching a class today on this exact mechanic. I love you too, bro, and we had this really beautiful conversation, and we've both gone through this immense process together over the last 13 years. He's not as active in human design, but he's very much into living his own process and stuff in Southern California. And he's like, yeah, he goes, I just feel like we have this respect because we've been through so much together, and we can see we've walked long trails we've walked together, sort of a thing. And that, I was sharing with him, he was pretty much my last, except for a new friend that showed up recently from out of nowhere, pretty much my oldest friend. He's the only guy that made it through human design till now. All of my other friends, my other life is gone, And so we had that connection. We had this really beautiful conversation this morning, and it's like, I love the guy, and I would call him. It's just not correct. Now where Robert is engaged me to help him with his process, and we've already got, there's an invitation there, or Lynette I'm working with. Now look, that's a little looser, as long as I'm not trying to get them to do what I want, that's looser. But, this, pick up the phone and call, a manifestor out of the blue. Are you kidding me? There's no invitation. I'm not going to start that ball rolling. I know what happens. It ends up looking like this. Guys, by the way, it all ends up looking like this. Red car hits blue car. Even if they're both generators, right? I mean, this is the world we live in. And then last but not least, the reflector, right? I mean, if you want to talk about waiting and having nothing to do, the reflector, right? It's just here to watch the program and see how it all unfolds. It has to wait to be initiated by everyone for everything. And it's really cute because there's a reflector kid here in the coffee shop that I see. And he's there almost every morning, and I talk to him every now and then. But yesterday, I was feeling like I needed to check in with him. I was going to, go ahead and move towards him and check in. It's the only person a projector can initiate with is a reflector. And then he came up to my table yesterday, and he wanted to ask me a question, and it was so fucking wrong. And he did it again today, and he could feel it too. And I mean, he's sincere. He's trying to get it. I mean, he's struggling. He's trying to get it. He's like, yeah, it just feels off. And I was like, yeah, it is off. But what's funny is I was just about to come to you. And that's what I've heard from Rod too, is like, he would say, God, if they would have just given me a little bit more time, they've robbed me of initiating. Don't rob the other types of their ability to make a correct movement. Just because it's not happening on your fucking schedule, that's your problem. So if it's correct, when it's correct, these movements are going to happen. Like I was saying, I was just about to talk to this kid yesterday, and he couldn't wait that extra hour or one more day, and he walked up to my table. And it was just wrong. And he got it, and it's fine. It's no big deal. But it's like, this is the dance. This is the dance of energy, and this is where, living around all these spiritual New Age people, blah, 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 whatever, and they're just running over each other. And it's like, oh, God. It's easier for me to take it in the regular world because there's no pretense that they're trying to do anything different. They're not telling each other that you manifest your own destiny or whatever. It's like, it's like, you should do this, or, I just like, I didn't ask. There's no pretense of it being any different than it is. So yeah, so you wait. You wait to be initiated so you can see the whole program. See what's happening. And it was a beautiful example. Another beautiful example. No fault, no blame, no one's wrong. It's just things I'm seeing along the trail, nothing else for me to do except report my seeing, And then if they don't, this is all they end up with. Just the disappointed, mucked up, bad weather. No possibility for any surprise, muddy, ugly life. Because they're all gunked up. Think of all those open centers just gunked up with everything. Just gunked. And how clean that needs to be, to be clean as a reflector. Think how sweet that experience could be. To really be in a dance with the moon rather than the humans. To have your life have that sort of magic and surprise to it, the potential. But they don't show up, and they don't come, and maybe they shouldn't. I don't know what they should do. I really don't. I mean, that was why, even feeling bad, I said, we'll just do the reflector lecture last weekend, because what am I going to tell you? Well, not much. They don't come and stay long enough for me to actually get anything of any real value, I mean, Hawk's wife is the reflector I know the closest, the longest, the best, and we talk maybe 20 minutes every 2 months. I mean, it's just, I don't have the hands-on experience of working with them enough to really give them any guidance, other than I can say that I can feel that even when they come to me where anyone else can come to me and it feels fine, it doesn't feel fine for them to come to me. I need to come to them. I do get that. I get that much, but that's about it. And I see that they need to be initiated, even by me, as a projector, where, not here to initiate anything other than the potential communication with the reflector. And then what are we going to do? We're not going to do anything. That's another place. See, now I'm going to start remembering all the things I should have said. And the projector-to-projector relationship, the seeing is so specific because there's no movement of energy happening. It's just sharing of information bands, frequencies. Reflector and projector similar. It's very different, but similar in that there's not going to be any movement of energy. And this kid from the coffee shop, I'm watching him. It's like he's my closest. He doesn't even know it, and I'm not going to tell him because it'll go to his head, but he's my closest little experimental jar that I'm watching. I love this experiment. That was one of the reasons I was, yeah. When I can't really show up to do my art, it's like, it's hard on me, because it's like, this is what I love to do. And I saw that yesterday so clearly. It's like, because some stuff that's going on here in Sedona that I may be helping with, and that's sort of like a job I used to do way back when I was in real estate development, that I may be, maybe, we'll see. I've helped this bike park project come along a bit, and I may be helping some more. But I got to see so clearly that I remember that I used to live my life for money. I did what I was doing so that I could make money. Now I can't even pretend that it matters. I can't even get myself to pretend that material matters. It's like I do what I love. I do what I love every day, all day, and hopefully it may be some benefit to you. And if it's not, that's fine. I get it. Life is going to take care of me. This is the uniqueness that we're each here to have. This is the beauty, and this is the art, okay? So we just walked through mechanically. Yes, here's how energy moves, this way and that way. And here's what happens when it doesn't, okay? But again, just you as yourself. This is the whole experiment. And don't let your mind bullshit you. See it on the level of body, Understand it on the level of body. As a witness, as a passenger in this form, you can see how it works. You can see that your mind will continually try to sabotage you. You can understand what it means to respect yourself. As you respect yourself, you can understand what it means to respect the other. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing what this gives you, guys. It gives you a chance to step past the global pain that all humans are living in. You step out of it. You get to see a differentiated view on life. You get to have your own experience, of which nobody can tell you what that means, what it looks like, how it should be. If I can be of help, yes, I can use, I can see very clearly where energy is coming from in the body. That's about as much help as I can be to anyone, because it's helping them break down the process of using their mind to make decisions rather than their body. Yes, I can get in there with a machete and I can hack away on you if you want that. Can I ever know your truth? No, I can never know your truth. Can I ever know what it means to be you? No, I can never know. But I see what this thing is built to do. And I see what an art it is, yeah, I can help chisel away. Little cuts show you things, hopefully. Some of it's going to hurt. That's fine. Your mind gets pissed at me. That means we're making progress. If your mind's not pissed, we're not making progress, guys. And yeah, so I think that's it for this segment. Give me 1 second. I really appreciate you guys asking and inviting this from me. I have no idea how it came out as usual. Hopefully it was helpful. And we'll get form here in a second.